In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at some pretty big storms in the eastern United States, including today into tomorrow. This is a very late night special, so you might be watching this by time it is already storming. This is going to mean rainfall for a lot of the southeast into the mid-Atlantic and even snowfall for the northeast. Also, some colder air on the way, especially towards the beginning of December. Now, before we get into things, be sure to check out Prestige Weather in the description, pinned comment, and the top right corner of your screen, where we do weather consulting for individuals and businesses alike. We do early access to a lot of our seasonal and monthly videos here. We're going to be doing our final winter forecast soon, as well as our December forecast. So that is coming out very soon for early access to those members, among other consulting services, including weekly consulting calls. So if you're interested in this, be sure to check it out again in the pinned comment description and the top right corner of your screen for only $5 a month. Let's dive into things. Here is that overnight storm here tonight. So as you can see, in just a few hours, by the time we're reaching kind of the overnight hours tonight, we could see some snowfall occurring for New York, Vermont, New Hampshire, Massachusetts, and even up into Maine. We have some heavier rainfall, even potentially thunderstorms happening here just to the east of the Appalachian Mountains there. As we keep going, we're going to see this actually intensify and reach closer towards the coast as a low begins to develop near Long Island there in New York. Again, this still means snowfall here for the northeast, potentially thunderstorms here along that southeast coast underneath all of this, and that's going to be by about 11 a.m. tomorrow on Wednesday. By the time we are reaching Thursday afternoon there on November 23rd, and this is going to be Thanksgiving, we can see very pleasant and very dry conditions for the eastern 2/3 of the nation. So if you're within this kind of box that I've drawn, we can pretty much expect, for the most part, minimal storms. Okay, so we do have some very slight drizzly or showery conditions here in the deeper south. That is going to be minimal impacts. And really the only area in the nation that I'm concerned about problematic weather is going to be here along the northern Rockies. And that does extend into some of the plains to the east of the Rockies here, especially in Wyoming, Nebraska, and South Dakota, where we do have some light to moderate, even heavy snowfall occurring on the day on Thanksgiving, Thursday, November 23rd. As we reach towards Friday, November 24th, we see all of this snowfall begins to kind of just dive southward here. We can see for Idaho, Nevada, Utah, Colorado, and Wyoming, as well as into Nebraska and Kansas. Again, still light to moderate and even heavy snowfall occurring for a lot of these areas. Let's keep going with this. Again, we're going to take this day by day as always. By the time we reach Saturday here on November 25th, what we see is that this snowstorm is still continuing. It is actually a pretty slow mover, mostly impacting the plains by this point. There is some remnant snow showers or flurries occurring there for a lot of Colorado and New Mexico. But as we look towards Nebraska, Kansas, Oklahoma, and even the very far northern regions of Texas there, we do actually see some snowfall occurring. I want to keep going with this, and by the time we reach Sunday here on November 26th, what we see is that there is still some snowfall as a result of all of this, mostly occurring here for Iowa, Wisconsin, Illinois, Missouri, Indiana, Michigan, and Ohio there. So for a lot of the Great Lakes, upper Midwest, and Ohio Valley there, we do see some light snowfall occurring. We do actually still have some showers and thunderstorms occurring for Texas and Louisiana, perhaps some mixing here on the very far northern extent of all of this, and some storminess around for the southeast. As of now, this doesn't look to come on shore that bad, so this might be some offshore showers, maybe areas very close to the coast dealing with some drizzles or even showers occurring here, but nothing too sustained as of now expected as a result of this storm. By the time we reach Monday here on the 27th, what we end up seeing is that there's a 999 millibar low pressure center that has developed as a result of all of this storminess. Some mixed showers occurring here for New York into New England, so we could expect potentially some more snowfall if things look to cool down a little bit more, or if that low is a little bit closer to the coast. But as of now, we have this big cool down moving in right around this time frame for the end of November, but it's just arriving as this storm is taking place, so the timing just isn't quite there yet. Now, it might end up being that way, but as of now, this is the expectations. a lot of high pressure and a lot of warmth here for the west. So the jet stream pattern that this sets up for is a ridge out in the west and then a big trough here in the east overall. That is the overall pattern we expect for the end of November into the beginning of December. Tuesday is very dry outside of some snow showers occurring within this Arctic air mass set up over the northern United States. You can see sporadic snow showers throughout the northern plains, upper Midwest, Great Lakes, and even the mid-Atlantic and Northeast here occurring. So we'll be on the watch out for that, of course. As we keep going towards Wednesday, things actually just kind of get colder for a lot of the east as this is continuing to push in. We see this ridge still taking place out west. That's going to be a positive P&A pattern overall. And all of this warm air bulging up in the west encourages cold air to dive southward as we look eastward. So we see a lot of this cold air still impacting these areas, even some more sustained snowfall perhaps for Pennsylvania and New York. Keep in mind though, this is very far out and a lot could change between now and then. That's always something that's important to remember when we're taking a look at things like this. For Thursday, on the 30th of November, we still have this Arctic air mass really taking hold of the east. And no real signs of an end here to this positive P&A. There is some storminess nearby, which could potentially eventually impact that. But as of now, no real sign to an end of this pattern. And if anything, it's still just centered right here over the eastern states. So we have something like this going on. And this is going to continue to send cold air to the east. And it's just continuing to batter these areas with lake effect snowfall, snow showers overall. And really, if any sort of low pressure system develops and rides along that jet stream, we'll be talking about more snowstorms in the future. Just as of now, we don't see that here on this model run. Let's keep going, and we're going to take a look here at the total precipitation overall. And we have pretty marginal amounts. We could see some storminess here for the Northwest, some throughout the Rockies and Plains as we talked about. But really what I want to talk about here is this Gulf flow that really just takes place up the eastern states. Something like this is really that storm track that we're seeing. Sometimes we see it come a little bit more onshore. But for the most part, these red areas is where we're watching for above average precipitation. Also take note that outside of those areas, we actually do have quite a bit expected near the Great Lakes here. And that is going to probably come in the form of lake effect snowfall, which could really pile high over the next 10 days. So we're going to be watching closely for that as well. Let's just dive into it. And again, as we're taking a look at this total snowfall, out west, we actually do have pretty large amounts for the southern Rockies into the plains. Where in the grays, we're dealing with the dusting. If anything, blues are 2 to 6 inches of snowfall. Purples are 6 to 10. Pinks are 10 to 20 there. And then your pastels are going to be moving from 20 inches plus. So we're really taking a look at a lot of expected snowfall in those areas. That's going to be pretty exclusive there for a lot of the mountaintop locations of Wyoming, Colorado, and even down through New Mexico. So we'll be watching for that, of course. And then for the Great Lakes, again, dealing with that lake effect snowfall, we do see some of those pinks popping up along all of your lakes there. And that is going to be around 10 to 20 inches of snowfall. So again, piling high with a lot of that lake effect snowfall. And then for the snowstorm happening over the next kind of 24 to 48 hours, we do actually see a pretty healthy 6 to 10 inches there in the purples in Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine. And then some of those pinks there, especially in New Hampshire and Maine, again, 10 to maybe even 20 inches of snowfall from the White Mountains extending into the northern regions there of Maine. Certainly something to watch for. Now, the overall temperature pattern here, as we're taking a look at it, we see that we are dealing with a bit of a warm up. Then for Thursday on Thanksgiving, it's going to be pretty mild or pretty seasonable is probably what I would call it. Everywhere from coast to coast almost is dealing with about 5 degrees below or 5 degrees above average temperatures. So we're within kind of 5 degrees of normal for most everybody here, which is a rarely average day is probably what I would call it. It is very rare to see a day that is that average from coast to coast. As we keep going though, things are going to look a lot less than average. As you can see, we're dealing with a lot of those greens here from coast to coast again. So this is going to be 10 to 15 degrees below normal. And this is as we're approaching kind of the late weekend. So this is later on Saturday on November 25th. The East Coast dealing with a lot of this also for the Rockies and Plains. And we even see more significant cold air there for the Rockies and Plains. Some of those purplish blues in there are going to be about 15 to 25 degrees below normal. And then those magentas that we see for Kansas, Colorado, and even up through Wyoming, that's going to be 25 degrees or more below average, which is obviously a very, very significant departure from what's typical. As we keep going, we see that things get a little bit more mild again, with some more like subtly cold air in the east. Things are warming up out west. But right there near the end of November into the beginning of December, what we see is this extreme Arctic blast moving in. Look at these warmer temperatures up and down the western states and the western regions of North America overall. Again, this is a lot more indicative of a positive P&A. And when this happens, all of the cold air that would have been in northwestern Canada or even Alaska is displaced and it dives eastward just like this. So this is why this P&A pattern, which by the way stands for Pacific North American Oscillation, drives everything. I talk about that so much because it's just such a driving force behind our pattern overall. And I think it's something that is so important to talk about because everybody knows what El Nino or La Nina is. Everybody hears about that all the time. But this is a lot more of something that instantly impacts our weather that I think there should be more education on, I think, for the general public. I think that would be a really cool thing to see. I'm trying my best, but I think that it should be more out there as this really, really does drive the pattern overall. Anyway, I went on about that for quite a while. That is it for this video. Be sure to subscribe as we do upload every single day. We upload videos just like this one. You can even hit the bell icon for daily notifications when we upload so you never miss one. Be sure to like the video if you did enjoy it, leave a comment down below, and I'll see you guys in the next video.